بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب زدني علما.
Now again, in the previous sections, we already covered about GRE, native GRE, which is a point-to-point supports tunnel-based VPNs. But again, the limitation with that, one of the limitation, of course, the point-to-point, as well as there is no security. But again, if you compare the advantages of the GREs are tunnel-based VPNs. So we can implement some routing protocols on the top of it. We can allow the multicast traffic. We can also transport IPv6 traffic on the top of it over any IPv4 network or those kind of things. So if you see the advantages, these are the advantages we get with GRE. And also we have seen IPsec VPNs. Now the IPsec VPNs also have its own limitations. If you remember, we covered that. So IPsec VPNs are again point-to-point, provide security. But again, the drawback is you cannot run these routing protocols. You cannot run the multicasting. So that's kind of limitation. Of course, you have to write an ACL to manually ACL to define the interesting traffic. If you're running NAT, then there are some issues. You need to add NAT exemption rules to bypass the NAT traffic, these kind of things. But again, what if I want to combine the best of both? So in terms of tunnels, we generally prefer to go with tunnel-based VPNs. At the same time, you want to apply some security on the top of it. So I can do that by using IPsec. So over the existing GRE tunnels, I can apply IPsec. That something is possible. So in our case, I'm doing the same thing. The GRE tunnels allows you the unicast, multicast, broadcast traffic. But again, the drawback, as I said, it sends in a clear text and there is no protection at all. In order to provide a protection, I can apply IPsec on the top of GRE. So if we try to see our GRE configurations, already we do have router 1 and the router 2 pre-configured with GRE tunnels based on your GRE section. We do have a tunnel interface between the router 1 and the router 2. And we do have reachability to the tunnel interface IP, the opposite side. And also we have configured EAGRP routing on the top of it to provide LAN-to-LAN communication. So if you try to see the end-to-end reachability between LAN to LAN with the source address of 192.168.1.1, we do have end-to-end reachability. But again, as I said, the problem is this all in a clear text. The entire communication LAN to LAN in a clear text, which is something I don't want. Okay, so the good thing about there will be a logical separation. Like I said, NAT will be applied on this interface. The tunnel traffic goes on tunnel interface. So there is a logical separation of two interfaces, which is something good thing here. You don't need an ACL to separate that because here the physical interface and the tunnel interface are separated, even though the traffic goes on the same physical interface, but there is a logical separation. So what I want is I want to secure this traffic. That's my requirement. So I want to apply the IPsec. Again, IPsec configurations, we know exactly how to do. We need to configure the phase 1 parameters, like configure the ISCAM policy to define what authentication methods we'll be using, ISCAM key. This is your phase 1 configurations. And in the phase 2, we need to configure the transform set to define what encapsulation you'll be using, what are the encryption algorithms I'm using, and what is the hashing algorithms I'm going to use. And then we'll apply it. So almost half of the configuration is similar. So no need to explain this configuration, we already know. Crypto ISCAM policy, authentication method, I'm using a pre-shared key authentication, hash SHA algorithm, Diffie-Hellman group, Again, encryption is, let's say, AES. The crypto ISKIM key, it says Cisco 123, address is 25.002. So on the router 2 as well, we'll do the same thing, just change of IP addresses, 15.001. So this is your phase 1 configuration. In the phase 2, we need to configure the transform set. The same steps like we did in the IPsec VPNs. So we already covered this in the IPsec VPN, so I'm not repeating the same thing. We will be defining what will be the encapsulation I'm using, what is the encryption, what is the hashing I'm using. And we don't need to write ACL. Like if you compare this configuration with your IPsec VPN configurations, in IPsec VPN configurations, we need to create a crypto map. And under the crypto map, we have to tell what is your interesting traffic. And then we need to tell what is your remote peer. And then we need to tell what is your transform set. And then we apply this onto the interface. But whereas here, we don't need ACL. The reason is because there is a logical separation. So we have created a tunnel interface, and any traffic going through this tunnel interface already have a destination configured on the tunnel. So no need of destination, no need of peer command, no need to write ACLs, because any traffic going over this tunnel is going to the remote site. It's already known. Whereas in IPsec, the same interface is used. So you have to differentiate with ACL, but that's something not required here. So we don't need to write an ACL. We don't need to tell the peer. We just need to tell the transform set. So that's the reason here we don't create a crypto map. Instead, we create an IPsec profile. So we create an IPsec profile. And inside this IPsec profile, I'm going to tell what transform set I'm going to use. And then this IPsec profile will be applied to the tunnel interface. So that's how the configuration goes here. A little bit different than what we did in our normal IPsec. So the first step, we need to create a transform set. This is exactly the same. Crypto IPsec transform set. Name of the transform set, and then the algorithm what I want to use, ESP SHA HMAC. And then I need to say, I need to exit crypto IPsec profile. Any profile you can use, let's say IPsec profile, some name, or you can say GRE profile, any name you can use, the transform set. Because we cannot apply the transform set directly onto the tunnel interface. So that has to be defined inside the IPsec profile. And then we go to the interface, and then we say interface tunnel. We go to the tunnel interface, and then we have to say tunnel protection IPsec profile. What is the name of the profile? The name in capitals. So the exact same thing, I need to do it on the other side. Any changes? No changes. I can copy paste. Exact same thing. Done. So which means now you will see the IPsec should be on. A tunnel will go down a little bit and come up once the authentication, once the entire IPsec is perfect. Now what I should see is, I should see the end-to-end reachability should be fine, which automatically confirms that you don't have any problems in reaching out. And the reachability is provided through GRE tunnels, through EAGRP. We know that, we did that already. But additionally, there will be packets which are being encapsulated and encrypted. So they are the number of packets you generate that will automatically increment. So the same IPsec verifications will be applying. So there is an IPsec applied here on the top of the GRE here. So this is how the configuration goes here. In terms of this, here we are, as I said, we are assuming the GRE tunnel is already pre-configured and we are going with the configurations. So most of the time you may prefer to go with GRE with IPsec. And one of the main reason is dynamic routing protocol support. Because most of the time it's very difficult to provide end-to-end reachability in the form of ACLs. And again, if you have a NAT configured here, then there is a NAT exemption issues will be there. But if you're using the tunnel-based VPNs, so there is a logical tunnel created. So there's a logical separation between them. So that makes your job much easier. Okay, so if you want to apply IPsec natively, you can still do it. But again, if you are using GRE with IPsec, this is how you are going to configure. So the first step, you configure the GRE and then you apply the IPsec on the top of the GRE tunnels.